Hey everyone, welcome to another Tech Talk on micro frontends. So I am Mayan Kansal. I'm an application architect in Talentica, and today I have with me Ritesh Agrawal. He's also an application architect in Talentica. So today he's going to talk on an interesting topic on micro frontends using Webpack 5 module. Ritesh, please start.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Tech Talk. So today I'll be talking about Webpack 5 Module Federation. So in this, we will cover the below topics like what is a micro frontend, what are the benefits, ways to achieve micro frontend, and how does Webpack 5 help us to achieve the micro frontend. Okay. And then I'll show you a short demo on that as well. Okay. So let's start. So before we jump into Webpack 5 and all, let's try to understand what we are trying to do here basically is what is a micro frontend, okay? So micro frontends are like a new pattern where you can have different independent, semi-independent user interfaces, okay, which are kept in different repositories in GitHub or Bitbucket, and they can be independently developed and as well as independently deployed. So this is similar to what we do in backend with microservices. So in microservices, what we do is we have many different repositories built in many different languages, and those microservices we can deploy them independently. So that is where this micro keyword comes into picture. So micro in either micro frontend or microservices means not small service, it or less number of line of code in a service. It essentially means independent deployability. If you are able to independently deploy a microservice or a micro frontend, only then we can call it a microservice or a micro frontend. Okay. Okay. So let's go to see what is a benefits of a micro frontend. So the benefit of micro frontend is similar to what we find the benefit of microservices. Like in microservices, they are independently developed by different teams, and they can be independently deployed. In the same way, a micro frontend can be independently developed and independently deployed. The advantage is that if you have a certain number of people in your team, then all the team members need not work on the same repository or the same code base all the time. We can have different people working on different repositories and code bases at same point of time. This will ensure that we are developing much faster. There is no tight coupling between the two code repositories, and we are able to maintain different styles in different repositories as well. On top of that, if you see, then it also ensures that our testing is very simple, because if you are testing one micro front-end repository, there is very less amount of code in that repository. It becomes easier to test because independent code is present in different repositories. The number of lines of codes are very less, so you can test them independently. You can style them independently, deploy them independently. And if there is a change request coming in a particular page or a particular feature, then what you can do is you can just change in that particular micro frontend and you can deploy, same as microservices. So this ensures better maintenance and better innovation in any of the service. So these are the important advantages of micro frontend. But it is important that we understand that even if there is an advantage, we need to understand that it's not like all the project that we get, we should just start with micro frontend. That's not the right thing to do. I don't normally recommend that. What we should do is we should see the extent of the development that we are going to do in a particular project, and in that we also have to see the number of people that are available for contribution. So if the number of people are, has the number of people are many, then we can think of going to micro frontend, because micro frontend, when you build, then you also have to manage it as well, right? The micro frontend architecture, you have to manage different repositories, you have to maintain different deployment pipelines, you have to build those pipelines. So it is important that we have enough people to do that. If you see that the project is small, it's a very bootstrap kind of project, then maybe it is better to just go with a monolith to start with. And later we can see if it needs a micro front-end architecture or touch, then we can start building micro front-end on top of that as well.
Ritesh, can you also give an example where a company might be using micro frontend and they are getting benefit of it? If you have an
So
example,
micro frontend is fairly new. Within our company also we are using in many projects, although I cannot name them right now, but we are using in many projects. But Webpack 5 module federation we have done in one of the projects here, and in rest of the project I'll cover it in next slide, one or two slide later, that what are the ways of developing micro frontend. So the other part without Webpack 5 we have done in some projects, and Webpack 5 also we have done in some of the projects. The benefit is very fairly simple, that you will be able to develop it independently, deploy it independently, maintain it independently, and test it independently. If you are able to do all these things, then definitely your development time will be very, very faster, and maintenance time will reduce. You don't have to maintain a lot of code. And time to market will improve because you don't have to take your entire monolith together into production. Because if you take a monolith to production, then you need to test everything end to end. But if you're taking a very small piece of code to production, then the testing is very, very fast, and hence the time to market is very, very fast.
so there can be another use case, right? For example, as you said, right, that if the team is big, definitely, and there are a lot of people
Yes.
to work on the same front end repo, the micro front end make more sense. There can be
Yes.
another use case, like if there is a ownership angle also, right? Different teams are owning a
Yes.
microservice and they want to own the UX of the particular related microservice, right? Then also it makes
Yes.
sense to have a micro front end where
Yes.
the single team is owning both backend as well as the experience of the front end side.
Right, correct. So in that case also, when the ownership thing is there, then also we can have, or let's say you have a situation where you want to build micro frontend in two different technologies
Right.
like Angular and React. The reasons can be any, okay, performance can be a reason, bundling can be a reason, or any other reason. If you are choosing that, or experience of people that are working as a reason. So if you have that kind of reason, then also micro frontend you can choose. One repo you can build in React, another you can build in Angular, and so on.
Right.
So let me give you a simple example on how ways to achieve micro frontend. So normally what we do before Webpack 5 module federation came into picture, what we used to do is here if you see there is an application, okay, and this application has, let's say, two pages, home page and dashboard. So one way is to build a monolith where the application, the shell basically, and the homepage and the dashboard are coded together. But if we wanted to build a micro frontend without Webpack 5, what we will do is in the dashboard will be present in a separate repository and homepage will be present in a separate repository. And inside the package.json file of the application or the shell container application, basically, we will have two entries of home and dashboard where we will mention the Git URL. So you build the dashboard independently and push the code in the dashboard repository, the distribution file, and that becomes part of the node modules of the application or the shell. The only problem here is that when you want to make a change in the dashboard, you cannot deploy dashboard independently. You have to build, make the changes in dashboard. You have to build it, push it into the dashboard GitHub or Bitbucket, and then you have to come back to the application. Then you have to build this application npm install, and then you have to redeploy it. Only then the changes are live in production. So when you have multiple such repositories in chain, then it becomes very, very difficult because you have to deploy everything. So that is why this approach is, although people use it, but it is not exactly micro frontend.
So this is
It
not,
helps you to segregate your code.
yeah, so this doesn't become a micro front end at all, right? Because have to deploy the main application again and again if there is any change in other
Again and again,
application.
yes. But yes, but this was the way it was done. I mean, in lot of people have been doing it in this way only.
Right.
Because the only one advantage you get is at least different people can work, different teams can work in different repositories independently, and they can consume it as a dependency in any application they want to.
But
But the
in this scenario,
hmm.
can we use different technology because the bundle is going to be same?
Technology is not a problem as long as you are able to bundle it, because see, node, it's a node module, right?
Hmm.
What you're building is a node module. So as long as you have everything that is needed in the distribution file, you can use it. But it is not normally recommended. I mean, in any of the project, I don't normally recommend where people can just keep going and keep changing technology, because the team which is working in React today and has to simply switch to Angular, it will be difficult, right? So it's better to build in one technology, right? Either you choose React or choose Angular or Vue.js. And if there is a very, very special use case, only then choose another technology. Otherwise, it's not like a problem can be solved by Angular and it cannot be solved by React. Correct? There are ways to overcome those things. There's some bundle size problem are there, some rendering issues are there. We can solve them.
Definitely.
Yes. What is Webpack? I'll tell you first. So Webpack is like a bundling tool basically, okay? Module bundler basically. It creates bundles. So let's say you have written your code, JavaScript, CSS, images, and all those combined together. You have written an Angular or React application. Now you want to bundle them to be deployed, right? Where you will have a single or maybe two JS files, one CSS file, common CSS or base CSS file, and a folder which contains all the important images that are needed. Then you need something of a tool called a Webpack. Okay, Webpack is nothing but a bundling tool which comes as a package. You can simply install in your laptop or machines or pipelines. And there what you can do is have a Webpack configuration file, which I'll show you in the demo, the exact config file, webpack.config.js file. And in that file, you can mention what are the type of files that you want to bundle. You can target those files and create bundles accordingly. So where Webpack 5 comes into picture is that it helps you to export the same diagram which I showed before. Here the application, the home page, the dashboard. So the dashboard is exporting one or two of its pages or modules. Okay. And application or the container or the shell is able to import them at runtime, not at build time. So Webpack 5 module federation is at runtime, which means your application URL you will hit in the browser. First, your application will load, then it will load its dependencies like dashboard dependency, homepage dependency from another URL, totally different URL. And that will serve all the required files like JavaScript and CSS and all. Once the files from dashboard are present in the application in the browser at runtime, only then the application is rendered. So this is totally at runtime. So I'll show you a demo.
So there is one doubt, Ritesh here. So as you said, ki it's a dynamic loading when we
Yes.
load the home page and go to, let's say, dashboard.
Yes.
Then only the, let's say we are on a home, let's say we have a home page and we click on a link to go to, let's say, some detail page
Yes.
of some
Yes.
item. So when we load the detail page, let's say it was a micro front end, and then only the micro front end related library will be loaded, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so what we can see here is because of the dynamic loading, there will be a load time. Mostly in a single page application, we take a hit at the start of the, like when somebody load the application for the first time, the bundles get loaded and everything. Later on, it just the JSON get loaded for the API.
Yes. Yes.
But in this case, we are taking a hit of when he's going and loading the page for the first time.
Correct.
So that is one hit that we are taking.
No, it's not a hit, Mayank. It's not a hit. I'll tell you why. Because what happens is the dependencies, the common dependencies, the shared dependencies like the React or other libraries that are resolved in the first code itself. They are not resolved at each page load. So when your application is loading, right? So what it does is it calls each and every remote basically. So this diagram will help. So what it does is when your host wants to take any remote module, right, into it. So it checks at runtime, it checks all the remote modules for the version of the common libraries. Okay. And whatever the host has, because host is also running in some React version, correct? So if that is the shared version, which is across all the remotes, then that is already loaded. So it will not keep on loading React every time. When each route is changing, it will load only the corresponding module files that are needed.
No, one doubt I have. So let's say we are loading a detail page as a micro frontend, and that also in React, having some dependency, will have some JavaScript file in it. We bundle the code in another JS file of the detail page, right? So
yes.
Is it the detail page will have its own bundle? Even the React will be bundled inside it, or
it will not be a single bundle. It will be lots and lots of chunks. So that's why it is helpful, because it does not create a single bundle. Because if there is a single bundle, it will have to download everything.
Correct.
So it creates a very small bundles based on your Webpack configuration, which I'll obviously show in the demo. So in those, based on those configurations, shared modules, it will create a smaller bundles. If those bundles are necessary to be pulled by the host, here you see in the left side there is a host. If the host needs it, it is pulled. If it does not need, it will not even pull them. It will only pull the module files that those are needed. Like let's say there is a dashboard module you have built. It's a normal JavaScript, small code, right? So it will only pull that.
So understood. In that case, whatever new things that is coming with the detail page will only get loaded.
Yes.
Otherwise,
Yes.
nothing existing will not get
Yes.
loaded. Okay, great.
Yes.
Second
So
question
that's
is,
why it is faster.
correct. The second question is, let's say we are loading the detail page 2 times, right? I do the detail page and then go to home page again, then came back to detail page again. So is it going to load
Yes.
the
No.
home detail page JS again? No, right? Because it will
No.
be cached. It will
No,
be
it
cached.
will not, because it will be cached in the browser.
Understood.
Yes.
Understood.
If you disable browser cache
Then it will
altogether
load.
in any application, it will load.
Correct.
So this is how. So in this diagram, with these questions, I think it is clear that there is a host and there can be any number of remotes. And the job of the host is to pull modules at runtime from remote. Okay. And Webpack 5 has handled the single page application concept here. So that is not going to be destroyed. That is not a single page. I'll show you a demo just after this slide. So there you will see that how single page, how the Webpack 5 is helping us to manage it. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at a demo. Okay. So this demo I have taken from the GitHub repository, which link I'll post in the video. And this credits goes to the Jack Jackson, who is the creator of the Webpack 5 module federation, and he has created the entire repository. And one of the part of the repository I have taken to show you the demo today. Okay. So here, if you see, then this is a part of the repository. So here, if you see dashboard, order, profile, sales, and shell. Shell is the container app that I was talking about, the application, the main page where it comes all together. So here in this demo, I'll be showing by switching on 5 different servers for 5 different repositories. You can consider each folder as a repository. Why? Because if you go inside a dashboard, you see there is a package.json and a Webpack file. If you go inside an order, you see a different package.json and a Webpack file. You go inside a shell, you see a different package.json and a Webpack file. So each folder here corresponds to a single independently built repository. Okay. So let's start with one and let's turn them on one by one and see how it works in production. And then we will make some changes in code and we will see how it reflects. So this is the dashboard. So we will simply say npm start. Okay. We will go to order. We will go to open in integrated terminal. And for the order also, we will say npm start. Okay. For the profile, we will open in integrated terminal and we will say profile npm start. For the sales, we will go to the integrated terminal and we will say npm start. And last, which one? Cell. Yeah, the last one is this shell. So we will go and we will say npm start. We will check if all of them are up and running, starting from the first one. Yes, it is up. The second one is up. The third one is up. Fourth is up. Fifth is up. So if you can see, starting from the first one, it is running on a different port. If you see, it is running on 3001, localhost 3001. If you go to the second one, it is running on a different port. It is running on 3002. The third one, it is running on 3004. Fourth one, it is running on 3003, and the shell app is running on 3000. Okay. So what we will simply do is we will go to the browser and simply hit localhost 3000. Okay. So if you see that the dashboard is loaded, I'll switch on the debugger. Okay, so that we can see what are the calls that it is making. So if you see here, then this page, right, it is built using like, you know, two or three different components. Let's say we delete all that we have loaded so far. Let's go to the second one. Okay, the second route. So this is the orders route. As soon as you click order route, you see I have selected all here and it's for downloading only one file, as you mentioned, right, Mayank? It is downloading only one file. You see, the small file, the remote entry file. That is more than enough to render it. Now, if I delete it, the advantage is you'll see here in this one. So if you, as soon as you click, you see there are 3 files downloaded. One is the JPEG file, this image. So in normal monolith, we download the JPEG in the first go itself, right? But here it is by default lazy loaded. When you load this page, only then you need that image, right? There is no need to download it at the first code. So when I was loading this image, at that time I have loaded it. And this JPEG is also rendering it here. Okay, now I'll show you the example where if I go back, then see nothing is loading again. If I come back here again, nothing is loading.
Okay, great.
Correct. So this is the advantage. Now, yeah, now let's see one example where we add some kind of CSS, okay, some kind of style. So let's say I'll name it, let's say red color, okay, this variable here, and I'll say red. Okay, this is all I'm saying. And this red color, I'll add it here as a class name, and we will see how it behaves. And if I go and simply refresh, then it should reflect. See, it has become red. Okay. If I do it green and save it, come back here, refresh it. So it should become red, green. So what we are trying to do from here, we are trying to export a module, right? The deposit widget we are trying to export. This widget we are trying to export from a totally different server, which is as a different static hosting it is done. So what we do in the Webpack config file, we go, okay. Here this plugin is important. The new module federation plugin. Here what you do, you name your module, what you are whatever is your name, like the here in this case it is sales. You name the file remote entry.js. This is a standard nomenclature. All the video link that I'll give you, this is how it is done, the remote entry.js. And whatever you want to expose from here, that you can expose. Okay, so here if you see, you give a key value mapping pair. This is the name with which you can consume it in the host, and this is the actual name of the file here. And in the remotes, you have to mention what you want to consume from a different location, and then there you mention the exact URL here. You see where it is hosted, whatever you want to consume from a remote. Okay, so let's see that. And third one is here is the shared one. If you see here, there is a shared we have mentioned. Why we have mentioned it in the shared is, if you mentioned it in the shared, then Webpack will resolve it. Okay, that if it is shared, then download the version only once. If you are not sharing the React, let's say you don't want to share React, you are using 15, 16, and 17 in 3 different repositories, then you will not share it, right? In that case, you don't share it, and individual pages, individual component will load their own version of React. Okay, it is also possible that a single page here can load 2 versions of React together in each component. That is also possible in Webpack 5. If you want to do it that way, that one module is doing let's say React 15, another one is consuming React 16. In this we are using hooks, in this we are using classes.
That can be
Possible.
really cool, right? If you have an older website, we
Yes,
can
there.
slowly migrate to
Yes.
this way, right? That will be really cool.
Yes. It is 100% possible. In the old website, what you can do, it's a monolith, don't do anything. All the new features that are coming in, you can build them as a micro frontend, and you can simply consume it in your old applications. So you never had to touch what was there in the old, but in the new, you can build in React 17 now using hooks and all those things. That's not a problem. And whatever files can be bundled by Webpack can be federated. But let's clear one thing, which when we started POC we were confused. You cannot federate .css file from here. Okay, you don't have to actually. You always do a .js file. Your internal widgets, right? These widgets or components, if they are using a CSS file or an image, it is automatically federated. You don't have to write code to federate them. If you have written an import statement in your component where the image is imported or your CSS is imported, it will be federated. That is what we saw here as an example, right? That in this part, I'll show you this profile, right? Let's go to the profile webpack config.json file. JS file, sorry. Here you see, I am only sending profile page from here. I am not sending the image here directly, but the image is automatically going, anyways going, because it will be automatically federated. It's taken care by the Webpack. So you always worry about a .js file. The name could be always same, remote entry.js, so that it is consistent. And what you want to expose, you can expose. You can build 5 components in a repository, but if you want to expose only 2 of them, you can decide to expose only 2 of them. Rest 3 of them, if you don't want to expose, you don't have to expose them.
So the rule of thumb is we have to expose the main component that is exposing our micro frontend.
Yes, and you see here, I have seen a profile page I have exposed. Let's see how it is consumed in the shell. See, in the shell, it is consumed like this, where what we have done react.lazy, we have done a lazy import. It's not necessary again to do a lazy import. If you want, you can do a normal import as well, it will work. I'll show you using the dashboard one, okay? So you do the import. If you want to do a normal ES6 import, you can do it in this way. If you want to do a lazy import, you can do it in this way. Both will work equally good. Okay, here you import it just like a normal module you import. Okay, and then you can simply use it. How you use it? You see here it is used as a component. Just use it as a component, no difference. Mention a route, and in that route mention that this is my component, and that component is imported from a third-party server, and it will federate it at runtime in a single page fashion. So if you see here again, if I change routes, if you see it's not a total refresh. See, it's a single page application. So if you even comment this here and do a normal import for the dashboard, okay? And if you go and refresh, the dashboard should still be up, but no, I have changed the name here. So I'll change the name, because if your name is wrong, then it will not work. So I've given my name here. Now I'll see if it is working. See, the dashboard still works. And if you see this name Ritesh, I have mentioned it Ritesh here because so that you can check where it is exposed from, and where it is consumed. So I'm consuming it here. So when you expose, this name is important here, not this name. This name is important because this is what I'll use to consume it, not this one. This is the actual name. That's why we provide a mapping here. So this here you see this my name is written here, and this is what I'm doing to consume it here. And once I have consumed normal ES6 syntax, then I can simply use it as a component. If you want, you can pass props also here if you want to. Let's say a function you want to pass to get a callback method as a callback data, you can pass it that as well.
Right, how the login details, right? Maybe the token that we get after login, right? How that will be used by the front end, micro front end.
So what you can do is you can store them that data either in your local storage, which is the normally place to store, right?
Yeah.
And your micro front end is hosted on a single, it is federated on a single route. So once your main application has given the data inside the local storage, or that component login module has given the data in the local storage, it will be accessible to all the data that is federated, right?
Right. So, but
it is accessible everywhere. We are doing it already in production.
Right. But it won't be, for example, now these are two different React application, right? But hosted on a single browser page right now. So are they going, can they share the application state, React application state, or doesn't?
So they can share, they will share it using store, basically Redux store.
Redux store.
So Redux store you can combine. You will not, let's say you are using store Redux, okay? Then 5 micro front end will have 5 different stores. It looks like that. But what you need to do is you need to send each and every micro front end's reducer to the shell application, and the shell application will merge them together into a combined store. Replace reducer, basically a replace reducer function is there in the Redux, right? So you use that replace reducer and replace the reducer at runtime. So all the reducers will be available in one single place, and that way the application can share state.
Okay.
So we have done this in production. I can help if anyone wants to do it. We have done it with Redux. We have actions, reducers, Thunk, Redux. We have federated. Then we having different CSS for different repositories. It is all working fine. Okay, these are the links. I have given one. I'll post it in my YouTube video. So these are the one GitHub link I have given with all the repositories. The example I showed, it is there. It works with different. It has all the examples. It has server-side render. Next.js example also is there. Different Angular React version examples is also there. Different route example is also there. Redux example is also there. You can simply download this and you can play around with it. And these are the two important YouTube channels that I have, YouTube videos that I have mentioned, as mentioned Jack Jackson. So here, if you go, then you can see that you'll be able to understand more in details on how things work, and you can play around with these examples. Okay. And lastly, I would recommend that it's not for micro front end. but I'll recommend everyone to read this book. It's a very good read by Sam Newman. All the concepts of microservices mostly apply to micro frontend as well, like high cohesion, loose coupling, and all those things. Okay, observability and error monitoring and all, everything is applying to micro frontend as well. So it's a good read. Please read it when you have time. It will help clear a lot of concepts about what the micro term means in terms of microservice as well as in micro frontend.
I think Ritesh, please share these links.
Yes.
He's going to share the PPT also. So yeah, there
Yes.
is no other question. Thanks Ritesh. It was a great presentation and demo, and I
Thank
think
you.
a lot of the doubts are cleared. Deep dive session. Thanks Ritesh.
Thank you. Bye bye.